In today's video, I'm going to be reviewing Margaret Atwood's Masterclass, and this just might be my last review for 2020. Can you believe it? Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Laura here. Ding! If you're new here, hi, I'm Laura. I write young adult horror. Doesn't that just sound beautiful? I write young adult horror. It's a beautiful thing to know what you are. After many years of trying to figure out what the heck you're doing. But anyway, in today's video, I'm actually going to be reviewing Margaret Atwood's Masterclass. Now, you guys know I have been on a writing craft journey, and that I always have on my journey my snorty dog, Falcor. So if you hear snoring, you know it's him. Anyway, I have been on a writing craft journey this year, really trying to get my S together and you know, level up. I'm kind of a perfectionist, you know, so part of this is just like my own neuroses that I don't think I'm good enough to be pursuing it. But anyway, I've been reading a lot of craft books and taking master classes and then reviewing them here for you. So if you have not seen any of my previous reviews, I will link those playlists down in the description. I have also already reviewed the masterclass for Neil Gaiman, and then I have a whole bunch of writing craft book reviews as well. So please check them out if you're looking for further information on ways to level up your own writing skills. So in today's video though, I'm gonna go ahead and review Margaret Atwood's Masterclass. So let's get started. All right, so throughout the entire masterclass, just to kind of give you a setup, she basically refers to The Handmaid's Tale. I think it's because of the popularity. I mean, the book was always popular. Like, I had to read it for like a million classes and stuff in school, and we also were really encouraged to assign it when I was teaching. So it's a pretty popular book, but I think with the TV show, it has made it really popular in just like pop culture in general. So I think that's why she was constantly referring to that in the book, in the masterclass. So I just kind of wanted to give you a heads up that that's sort of, I know she has a lot of other things, Oryx and Crake and some other like well-known texts, but she, I want to say primarily only references The Handmaid's Tale. She may have mentioned Oryx and Crake once, I can't remember, but it's definitely mostly Handmaid's Tale. And also I want to give a little caveat before I get into like the nitty gritty here. I did have on my previous masterclass reviews, some of you seemed a little surprised by the setup of the masterclass. So if you're not familiar with how a masterclass works, they're not like looking at your work. They're not going to critique it. You're not going to get feedback. You're not going to speak to that person at all. I think there are message boards for people that have also taken the class where you can kind of talk to those people. I didn't do that. I didn't use that, but it's definitely not like a class, like an online course that you take at a university or something. If any of you that have watched this have taken a master class and used those message boards to talk to people, comment down below and let people know the experience of that, because I can't share that. I haven't done it, and I am a little curious how that works. I just never even really looked into it. But to be completely clear, you will have zero interaction with whatever author you're doing the masterclass with. So there's definitely no like instructor who's looking at your stuff and giving you feedback. Basically what you do is you have a line of videos that they created where you watch the video, then you read the little section in the workbook, and then they give you some exercises that you can do. So that's basically what you're getting access to. So all right, now let's get into Margaret Atwood's. So let me just start off with, love her. She's not what I was expecting. She's super cute, super little, quiet little, quirky old lady, little Canadian lady, and I just love it so much. I mean, that is one of the good things that you get out of these master classes, is that you get to really see some of your favorite authors as like real people. I mean, I wouldn't say you get to see them as real people in the way that like you get to watch like reality television and see people as real people, but it's definitely different than like an interview. It's really like them sharing information and kind of like having a cute little like craft chat with you. I don't know, I just really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed her. I mean, Neil Gaiman is great, and a lot of you commented that you love to like just listen to him talk, like with his accent, and he's soft-spoken. But Margaret Atwood was, for me, like, I liked her better than Neil Gaiman in that terms, right? Like, I just loved listening to her talk. I loved hearing from a woman who has really been at the height of writing for decades, especially when it was more of like a man's world for that kind of stuff, especially because she does speculative fiction, which is something I personally love as well. And again, another field that wasn't always kind to women. And so I just really, really enjoy that. So that is like the first plus, because that's how I like to do these reviews. I like to start off with all of the positives and then the negatives, and then we'll talk about whether or not I think it's worth the price. So that is the number one positive, is that she is fantastic. I could just listen to her talk forever about writing. She's super interesting, super funny. Like I said, it's like, I don't mean this in a disrespectful or rude way, but it's like listening to your smart grandma, like softly talk to you about stuff while she makes cookies in the kitchen or something. Like, it just gave me like a really warm, homey vibe, which I really appreciated. Okay, so now as for the specifics, I really like that throughout, and she really like emphasizes in the beginning and then throughout the entire masterclass, she really emphasizes that ideas don't just come as like lightning in a bottle. They take work, they take teasing, they take pulling, they take shifting around and moving. It's like, it's actual work. You don't just sit there and zap, get an idea and it's brilliant. Like, you might get a little like nascent idea, but that it takes growth and development like a plant. I just came up with that, but you know, I'm just saying, it's like you have to nurture it and work on it. And yeah, so thinking that like you can just sit and let it come to you and then you can just write it down is just not doing anyone any favors. So I really like that she's open and honest about that, because I think it's really easy when you're like a prolific writer to just be like, oh yeah, you know, these ideas, they just come to me. I think Stephen King does that, doesn't he? I think he said that before. He's just like, oh, I have a million ideas, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, well, we don't all think like that, Stephen, okay? And I know that Margaret is like, she's side-eyeing that, because it takes a lot of work, and there's a lot of moving parts to it. So I really like that she really is emphasizing that throughout. I also really love that in like all of her lessons, she really poses these thought-provoking questions that really make you think, like, about your book or about the things that you want to write about or about your characters. Like, she just kind of like says, well, you should consider this, or have you thought about this, or think about this. And I'm like, you know what? I should think about that. That's interesting. So yeah, like she really had me thinking. She had the wheels turning, like, for real in my head about stuff. And so I really like that she was really giving what I think are really productive questions to think about to help get those juices flowing with your own books. And then of course she gives a lot of fantastic tips and tricks and like advice based on her own writing, little anecdotes, very similar to Neil Gaiman, where it's just like, oh yeah, for that I like to do this, and oh, for that I've learned that this really works. So it's really just giving like her experience, these tips that have worked for her over the years, and I think a lot of them were really helpful and interesting. And I really just liked enjoyed hearing an author and like what has worked for them, you know, over time. And this was especially true in her sections on writing compelling characters. I really enjoyed that section a lot. I really think she gave a lot to think about and to consider when she was talking about that, as well as her section on writing roadblocks. I think she really gave some helpful advice and interesting ways to think about roadblocks and to think about your writing and what's happening when you're stuck. And then the third section that I really enjoyed was her section on writing dialogue. That is something that I have been really interested in hearing what people have to say about it, because I'm finding that like how I originally thought about dialogue in a book is very different than like how it should be functioning. And so I really appreciate hearing authors talk about how they think dialogue should function in your writing. And I really found that section that that she talks about dialogue very, very helpful. So those were huge positives in the section, very helpful, great advice and great references to her own work and how she kind of worked through some of those things. So that was like fantastic. I also really like that there's a section in there where she really talks about purposeful writing and being really like aware of the specifics and the details that you're including, because she's basically saying that we as people are reading for patterns, for things to make sense, for things to reveal things to us. So if we don't actually like imbue them with meaning, then the reader will give it their own meaning. And so you should be really mindful and purposeful with everything you include, because you don't want to lead your readers to be thinking about other things or guessing other things or assuming other things than what you intended for them to read. I mean, obviously that's always going to happen, but she's basically saying like everyone's going to read your book and look into every aspect of it for purpose and meaning. So you should have purpose and meaning when you're including it. So basically she's saying the reader is always looking for clues, so you might as well put some in there. And then toward the end of the courses or the videos, she does talk quite a bit at the end about how difficult it is to be a writer, to really get your name out there, and to make a living at it, and how just really difficult it is, and you really shouldn't have those expectations and stuff like that. So I don't know, I appreciate an author who is honest and realistic and not like feeding people like a pipe dream, you know? Like she said, she got into writing never expecting that it was ever going to be a career for her. She thought that she was just gonna be like the starving artist who works on her writing and then does odd jobs to like supplement her income. So I think that she's just, it's like in any sort of like art pursuit, like you really want to be realistic. And I just really appreciated her, someone who was a breakout, really kind of being like, look, that was a fluke, you know? So I really appreciate the honesty that she gives like throughout. And then the last positive of the masterclass, the thing that I think I really enjoyed the most, honestly, is I really just loved hearing her talk about how she wrote her own work and seeing she has like her papers, like, you know, like when you go like after an author has died and like you see their papers and their archives of stuff, like she was showing some of that stuff. I was like, oh my God, you know, like getting to see her papers, like she would like clip out newspaper clippings about things that she wanted to include, and she like had little drawings of like things how she imagined. Like that is like a book lover's just like, you know, dream, is to see like all of the groundwork, all of the little, you know, pieces that went into the masterpiece that is like, you know, an example in The Handmaid's Tale, you know? So just seeing that, seeing her inspiration, seeing the kinds of things that she did, the little notes, the little notations, like she showed like a first draft or something of like the first scene and like her notations and stuff. I mean, that was just so dreamy, so amazing. I loved it so much. I'm such a nerd for that kind of stuff. Like I love a good literary vacation. I love to go to like literary spots wherever I travel. I love to see the papers, the notes, like I live for that stuff. So that was like my favorite part. I love that so much. I love just hearing her talk about her experience of writing things and what inspired her. It was fantastic. Like hands down, just enamored by her, honestly. So now that I've kind of said all the things I really liked about it, let's segue into some of the things that were kind of like, so she does talk about writing genre, which I actually did enjoy. What I think is kind of a negative is that it was a little light. I wish she would have talked about it more. I think she was really only just kind of scratching the surface. And as someone who's personally really interested in speculative fiction, which is what she's really interested in, like imagining a realistic future, like that is like that's the stuff I love. Like I love horror and that's what I'm writing. But I did originally start trying to write speculative fiction. I am a big person on speculative technology. I love reading books about what they imagine our technology is going to be like in 20 or 30 years. So she's also really into that. She likes to think about things in the future, what is a realistic future, what things could become, and then including that in her writing. So I did like that section. I just felt like it was a little light and I wish she would have gotten more into it, because I was like, yes, this is the bread and butter. This is what I'm here for. Like, give it to me, you know? So I just wanted more of that. And so that kind of actually brings me to what my overall criticism is of the Masterclass, which I think is, I'm starting to think is like maybe just how Masterclasses are, because it was the same criticism that I had of Neil Gaiman, is that I felt like nothing was like really deeply gotten into. It was a lot of just scratching the surface, a lot of just anecdotal tips and advice, you know, sage words to pass on type of thing. And while I loved it, I don't know, I wanted more. Like I wanted to really like get the nitty gritty, and especially because I've been reading so many writing craft books, I guess I'm just was like, these are masters. Like I'm expecting like pure genius tips that are like, blow my mind, change the way I write forever kind of thing. And it was really more of just like entertainment, you know? And so I just, you know, I was just left wanting more, you know? So that is like a criticism of that. It just wasn't really like teaching anything, and it wasn't really a lot of stuff. It was really not anything I hadn't heard before. It was just nice hearing it from her, you know, but I don't know if there was anything new being imparted on me. And as I said previously, all of these masterclasses come with a workbook, and I did talk quite extensively about Neil Gaiman's workbook. Unfortunately, the workbook for Margaret Atwood is in my negative section because I found this severely underdeveloped, especially in comparison to Neil Gaiman's. That kind of set an expectation for me. So then when I came to Margaret Atwood's, I was like, where's all the rest of the stuff? It was basically just like a literal summary of what she said. Whereas I felt like Neil Gaiman did give summary, but then maybe like a little bit that you didn't get from the video. Hers is literal from the video. Like you could just not watch the video and read the summaries. And there were like a few references like, oh, you could check out this book or something, but also like very little resources in comparison to Neil Gaiman as well. And her, I'm trying to remember even if she, I mean, I guess she gave like little writing assignments or whatever, but I just don't even remember them. None of them stood out to me. I think maybe she would give like 1 per section, whereas like Neil Gaiman would give you like 7, you know? So I just really felt like the workbook needed work. And then the one thing that I actually like hated, I hate to say that, but like just was terrible, was her section on time, you guys. Like, as someone who struggles with timing and pacing, I was like, yes, girl, give it to me. Give me the info. I need it. I want it. You're gonna set me straight. You're gonna pave the way for me. And I'm just gonna figure out, this is gonna be like an unlocking moment for me. And then she basically said, get a calendar and write down dates. And I just thought, that's literally what she said. It was not even like fancy tips on writing a calendar. I mean, okay, maybe she wrote like, figure out their birthdays and whatever like events are happening at that time, like if there were any holidays or like, I mean, it was really just like get a calendar. And I thought, wow, okay, I could have just completely skipped this. This was nothing that helped me at all. Nothing about time, passing time, pacing, just nothing. It was like, make sure you write stuff down on a calendar, which is a good tip, but come on, girl. I needed more from that section. That section actually kind of irritated me a little bit. I was like, really? This is what we're doing right now? So yeah, so that was kind of like, but overall, I did enjoy this masterclass. In fact, I think I enjoyed it more than Neil Gaiman's. But I liked it in the way that I like going to speaking engagements and seeing a favorite author just speak on writing, which I've been to many of them, and I don't think that this is that much different. It definitely doesn't feel like a course. It doesn't feel like I'm getting like secret information that I couldn't get somewhere else. But it did in the fact that like I'll never probably be able to see her in person speak, so this kind of was like a filler for that. But it's just definitely not more helpful than craft books, and it doesn't really break anything down or really get into anything deep. And so in terms of who would benefit from this, I really don't think there's a particular group that would benefit this. Maybe, I mean, if I had to pick someone, people who like to write speculative fiction, but again, it was really just kind of like things that inspired her or where she looks for information, and I don't think that that's anything that would particularly help that group of writers, to be honest. I really just think who would enjoy this is people who enjoy listening to authors speak, who enjoy Margaret Margaret Atwood, people who enjoy cute little sweet Canadian old grandmas, you know, then yeah, I think that you would enjoy it. Do I think you would benefit from it? Do you think it will change the game for you? Sadly, I would say no. And maybe I'm going into these with the wrong expectation. Although I have had people say that like Dan Brown's is really good and they actually learn stuff from Dan Brown. So I don't know. I'm definitely not done taking the master classes because I do enjoy them. I think I'm just gonna start going into them with like a better understanding of like what they actually are, and that they're not something that like is gonna just totally change the game. It's more just like, oh, do you like this person? Do you enjoy hearing people talk about writing? Which, hello, most of us do. But I think if I go in with the right mindset, you know, then I won't be so like shocked that I was like, this was not really a master class of anything. It was just a YouTube series of videos, you know? So, should you take this class? That's a really good question. Here's what I think. If you're not getting a year subscription, if you're paying for like an individual course, I don't think that this is worth that money. I don't think you, I mean, my God, you could get a $10 writing craft book that would level you up 50 million times more than this, okay? But if you just enjoy hearing famous authors read, or not read, I wish you would have done a reading, famous authors talk about their writing process and books in a very short, condensed, scratch the surface kind of way, and you have the year subscription. Did I already say that? I don't know. If you have the year subscription and you enjoy hearing people talk, and you enjoy that kind of like writing, then yeah, I would recommend this because like I said, it was enjoyable, it was entertaining, she was sweet, I smiled pretty much through the whole thing. So it's definitely like time well spent. I don't regret it, but I don't think it's worth like, I don't know, $90 or whatever it is for like the one. I don't know what you're getting for your money there. To me, that's shocking, you know? So yeah, should you take it if you have a year subscription and you like that kind of writing and you like sweet little Canadian grandmas, then yeah, you should take it. So yeah, that is my review of Margaret Atwood's Masterclass. If you enjoyed this review, please be sure to give this a thumbs up. It lets YouTube know that someone else might actually enjoy it as well. And if you're not already subscribed and you enjoy getting reviews of masterclasses and writing craft books, or you want to follow me on my journey towards becoming a traditionally published young adult horror author, then please be sure to hit the subscribe button, and I'll be back on Wednesday with a weekend vlog. Thank you guys as always for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!